Okay, so good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 2023 meeting of Pittsburgh's LGBTQIA plus Commission. I am facilitating tonight. I'm one of your co-chairs, Sue Kerr, and welcome. Thanks for taking time out of a very busy month to be here. We need to start with a roll call. Billy, would you please?
Yes, I'll do that, and I'll get the agenda up so that it's visible in a moment also. But I'll do the roll call and then I'll do that. We'll do the approval of the minutes right after the roll call. Okay. Catherine Calhoun.
Present.
Denise DeSimon.
Here.
Calvin Ecker has notified us that he's not going to be able to make it. Billy Heilman, I'm here. Sue Kerr.
Present.
Okay. Julian McLean.
I am present.
Yes, you are. And Bruce Krause has notified us that he will not be able to make it tonight. Maria Montano.
I'm here.
Okay. Lenny Orbovich.
I'm here.
Richard Parsakian.
Yes.
Shantae Porter. Christopher Robinson.
Here. Good afternoon.
Hi. Sarah Rosso has notified us she's not going to be here. Derek Tynes. And Guillermo Velasquez has notified us that he will not be here, but we have quorum. I'll work on that other chore.
Thank you, Billy.
You're welcome.
All right, our next item is the acknowledgement of public comment. To my knowledge, we have not received any public comments prior to this meeting. Is that Denise or Billy that you both?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. All right, well, then we'll move on and.
We need to do the minutes.
Oh, the minutes. Sorry, I skipped that.
Let's
Let's go back. Okay, so we need a motion to.
This is like a big part of my life, doing these minutes. You can't skip them.
Let's all stop for a second and pay homage to the minutes, and then
Thank you.
we can, and we need a motion to approve the minutes as submitted by Secretary Billy Heilman in all loving infinite care. Do I have a motion?
I move.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. Congratulations, Billy, on another successful set
Hey,
of
I'm 1,000 on approvals. It's been a couple edits, but I'm doing pretty good.
Okay. Well, in all seriousness, Billy, we really do appreciate how much time and energy you put into that. So, and your good humor about being ribbed about it. So, we already discussed public comment. Let's move on to reports from officers and standing committees. Okay, so I'm going to do a few of these. Attendance notification and meeting links. We need to have just a robust reminder that sending out a text message or an email 5 minutes before the meeting or 20 minutes after we've started asking for the link isn't working very effectively because most of the executive committee are in the meeting, not checking email. So Billy has revised his schedule of sending out the link. It's in the calendar. So if you accept that invite, you should be able to find the link there. And, we really just suggest that you open your email and search using the word Heilman, which probably isn't in there too many times. And that should bring up some message with the link in it. Worst case scenario is, maybe text somebody who is not on the executive committee, who may be checking their messages. Or if somebody who is not on the executive committee but is in the meeting can just monitor the email, that might help. We want to do our best to get the links to people, but we really need, there's only so much we can do. So if you have any suggestions, we're open to that. We are having some struggles with attendance, and part of that is, you saw my email tonight, several of you responded, is that people aren't responding if they're coming or not. So if you get that monthly reminder and you can just take a few seconds to RSVP, that's very helpful for the executive committee. We're also seeing a larger issue, and this is something that we could discuss tonight, or we can kick down the road and have them allocate some time in September. But we wanted to talk about the idea of how people who cannot attend the meeting through no fault of their own, maybe their work schedule or something, can still engage and participate. We have some limits in our bylaws, but we realize that we don't want to lose voices and participation. I think maybe since we have such a small attendance tonight, we could talk about it for a few minutes, but I think we should discuss this at a larger meeting, because it is serious. When people don't attend the meeting, they're not part of the conversation, and then we're not hearing what are their concerns and issues. And we have decided that we will, in October, we will have a conversation about the meeting schedule for the next calendar year. But at this point, we certainly can't change it for this year. So that's one step we're going to take. And there's no motion here. So is there any discussion?
Yeah, I wanted to say a couple things. One, what I did the last couple, particularly this month is emblematic of it, but the last couple months also, I'm sending out the link. I try to do the minutes earlier in the month, but sometimes it's, few weeks in after the meeting. So I'll try to get it within 1 week, but I sent out the link for the meeting as soon as I get it. Got it a little bit later this time than in previous months. That's why you didn't get it till Tuesday of this week, but I send it as soon as, about within 24 hours after I receive it from David Feiner. But I will send it also on the day of the meeting, just as a second time, so that it's not so far lost in your emails. And I will also send a calendar invite. I didn't do that this month, but I had in the previous several months. So I'll try to do all those three things. One, send it as soon as I receive it, and send it on the day of, so you don't have to search back too far, and also a calendar invite. And Sue, thank you for saying that about RSVPing, because I haven't been writing that in the email that comes with the link. And so I'll do that also, because it is helpful for us to know that, we just are confident that there's going to be a quorum. And when all of you responded so quickly today, that was pretty apparent we were going to have quorum. So that felt good pretty fast. But I'll do those things also.
Thank you, Billy. Any other comments or?
I have a question, Sue.
Sure.
Do we have a list of commissioners who have not attended without telling us that they are unable to do so?
We keep an attendance. The executive committee reviews it on a regular basis, and we do not share that information. You could find it by looking at the minutes. I could put it that way, but people who fall out of compliance with our bylaws, our requirements on attendance, that's something that the co-chairs address privately.
My reason for asking is because if there is a commissioner who is unable to fulfill their commitment and can move aside, and we could fill that appointment with somebody else who does have the time, I think that would be important.
Well, I agree with you, Richard. I will remind you, though, that we do not have a limit on how many commissioners we can have. So at any point in time, if you have somebody who you think would be a good fit, please send them the Engage Pittsburgh link. That is how they apply through that website, that web page, I guess, and that goes to the mayor's office. And and that's 365. Any time someone who is eligible could apply. The only seats that are designated are the mayor's seat, the city council seat, CHR seat, and well, then we have 5 issue. We don't really have a good term for that term yet, but if somebody's not attending, that doesn't prevent somebody else from from applying to join the commission. Of course, that has to go through a process. So does that adequately answer your concern, Billy? I mean, Richard?
Almost, because I thought in our bylaws, if somebody does not attend without notification so many meetings, then we have a process to ask that they step down.
We do, and we have used that, invoked that one time. We're very careful about that because the reasons that people aren't attending are nuanced. And Sarah and I, as the co-chairs with Billy and Denise, talk about this frequently, and we would bring forward if we thought that we needed to invoke that again. But if you're aware of someone who is not attending or you don't see, I would absolutely encourage you to have a conversation with them about it, and perhaps urge them to speak with us about, what any kind of barriers there might be. So we talk about this at our monthly meetings on a regular basis and are aware of some challenges that people are facing in attending.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I can't see anyone's hand, so does anyone else have comments on this?
I have a quick comment too. This is Julian. In terms of just fairness to the other commissioners, say we get some big agenda topic accomplished and it's accredited to the LGBTQIA commission. Is it fair to the other, this is just something to think about, is it fair to the other commissioners that some people's inputs or some people's talents weren't used accordingly as much as others? And so that's just my comment. So like for the process and having someone step down, not making them step down, but maybe the executive committee can give them a prompt or a warning or something like that to prompt them to be more, I guess, intentional about attending.
I'm going to respond to the second part first. I absolutely agree with you on that we try to have those conversations, encourage people to participate, remind them why it's important. One of the reasons we decided to talk about changing the meeting slot and having a full discussion around that was because of some issues people brought up. But I wanted to go, the first part of your comment about fairness, I'm not sure I quite understand. Are you saying that if so today we have a small meeting, a small group, but we are a quorum. And if we
Right.
made some sort of decision that it would not be fair to those who aren't here for
I'm
us to
saying,
announce it, is that?
I'm saying more so, and this is just like a hypothetical, say
Okay.
that we reached out to the University of Pittsburgh and they made a major change because of our suggestion or because of our input. And they accredited to all the members of the LGBTQIA commission, but some members have not given their input or given their talent or skill set. I'm just saying for the other commissioners with that, this is what I think about sometimes in my executive committees. Would it be fair to give them the same amount of credit for input that the other participants are giving? That's more so my perspective. So in terms of voting, like, of course, if they're not attending, they don't get their vote, and that's in fairness to them. But as far as just like appreciation, I don't know how to term it, but I don't know. I don't know.
Well, Julian, I can tell you after all these years of doing this, we are acting as a body. So it's fair in a sense that we're not receiving individual acknowledgement. But I also very much see that people's participation varies with mileage, and that there are some serious issues of fairness that we have to talk about. And attendance is one of them. And the workload, sharing the workload is another one. Is it fair for someone to take credit for the work that is being done by this commission, but only participate minimally? I would say that's varies from case to case, but that's my personal opinion. I wish people were more active because there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But I don't know that I would talk about it in terms of external credit, unless. And I think we have on certain occasions. Billy, you maybe know this, that, we have acknowledged the unique contributions. For example, Kathy Boyle, who has resigned, unfortunately, but she led us on the work around housing, on promoting city funding for LGBTQ senior housing. And I think we did acknowledge her exemplary work around that. So is that a positive example of what you were bringing up, Julian, where we would do something like that?
Right. And I wasn't really thinking too much in depth about it. I'm just saying that, like, if I don't know, like I said before, the University of Pittsburgh, thank you so much for the LGBTQIA Commission for giving their input and giving us these so-and-so resources and this, that, and the other thing. But then we work hard on it as attending commissioners to accomplish that goal. But then other commissioners who haven't attended so much, and I get that you're saying that there's some barriers that we can't really just put a blanket statement over and say this is how much you should be attending or not attending sometimes. But I'm just saying that in terms of internal review and in terms of us working together as a body, would that be a fair assessment to say that we all put in the same amount of blood, sweat, and tears and time?
Anyone else? I'm sorry, I can't see the hands. So if you're want to jump in, I have a response here, but I want to give everyone a chance to say something. I think it's pretty obvious that our investment levels are different, and that's true of every commission, board, working group, all that sort of thing. But we have some objective criteria. So I think anyone who's interested in this question, you please read the minutes. You see who's there, you see who's making motions, how people are voting, who's giving reports, who's joining committees, and it's right there. And I think it's a fair and reasonable thing for any one of this member of this commission or the public to take a look at that, to see how they're being represented at this conversation. The other thing, Julian, I want to just piggyback on you is that, we brought up having a conversation with Pitt after the horror show of what happened in March and April. And we just simply, we wanted to try to meet with someone and, but we just don't, the executive committee just can't, we just don't have any time. I mean, we're just so stretched. So that is literally a good example of,
Right.
for us that, you know, we would need someone else to spearhead that and all that entails for it to happen. So I appreciate that you brought that up as an example, because it's perfect that
Yeah.
without more active initiative from the members of the commission, you know, we just simply can't get to those things.
Right.
Did someone else have something?
Yeah, I don't disagree, Julian, what you're saying. I think our bigger issue is, like Sue was saying, it's just participation in the activities that we need done. That would be helpful. And I think you're right. I mean, if there's a select group of people doing the work, it doesn't seem fair that if there's ever a situation where credit becomes due, which I don't see that happening, but I think it is fair to highlight the people that worked hard and get whatever initiative that is approved. So that's my 2 cents.
Right. I agree. And then like, I don't have any problems. I'm just speaking up for just in general terms and thoughts, but like spinning it even in a good way, like an attendance pizza party. If you attend 10 consecutive meetings or whatever it is, then you get a pizza party or whatever it is. And that's just like a metaphor for whatever it could be, but that's what we can spin it that way or whatever it is. But I think about this often in some other boards I sit on as well, is that like, is it fair for, like we said, the select few to push an agenda and share the credit, even though we do this as a volunteer and we don't do it for credit. And I understand that, but yeah, just my thoughts.
Well, the
And I
people
always think
on the
about morale.
commission like the pizza party idea. I mean, we,
Okay.
that's what we did.
Who's going to
And
organize it?
I always think of morale too. So I don't like to spin things bad, like we're not attending this or we're not doing that, but just what can we do more, like you pitted it to, is that how can we do better, you know?
I mean, these are terrific questions, Julian, and I think things that we've talked about on Sidebar over the year, you know, the last couple of years, and we really should be talking as a full commission. Even something as simple as some people don't like email, so they don't check their email and they get overwhelmed by the Gmail string and request that we text them or connect them in some other way, and it is just an unreasonable demand. I understand that people have preferences and they interpret information differently, but we just don't have enough time or bodies on the executive committee to send text messages to people about to say check your email. And it's a source of frustration for me. And one of the reasons is because I know we're not representative. I mean, our executive committee is all white and all cisgender, and you know, it looks like 2 white lesbians are running the co-chairs, and that that is not good. It's not good as an appearance, but it's also not good because of who's not participating in these conversations, and how we go to the mayor and ask for, do we have bisexual representation on the commission? Do we have asexual representation? I mean, those just 2 came to mind right now, but and we don't really know that about each other, but it's something I think about every time we have a meeting. Who's here? And it's
Right.
Well, I think also that, we're at the disposal of the mayor and city council. And we're not even though comparison to other commissions were larger, right now we have 15 members, but that's not a very large group. particularly for our group, because our group is, we are focused on diversity, and we do like to, we have a, I don't want to say like to, we have a strong, important interest in diversity, and that decision-making is made by a diverse group of folks. But 15 isn't a very large number. And when the appointments are made and there's a majority white people, then there is going to be, I mean, there is going to sometimes be white people filling leadership roles. And while we do this, I love our mission in our bylaws. I love the language of our bylaws. And if you haven't read them, then, do that again soon. Because it is good guiding principles, but sometimes it also puts pressure on people of color when they're fewer in numbers to do leadership roles when they have the same experience that we're expressing, that there's only so much time and there's only so much I can contribute and I have other obligations. And so I think there's some, I think we have to just, in this group, if we can trust each other, that we all, I mean, we're getting to know each other pretty well now over time, and that people are gonna, I hope people are gonna step forward when they are ready and have the time to make a meaningful commitment to the role. And if you're not there, then maybe you shouldn't at that moment. But our executive committee meetings, one thing people could do is, the executive committee meetings are not closed. So anyone who wants to attend the executive committee meeting can do that, and you can, participate by, sharing that, dedicating that amount of time. You'd be part of the thinking and consideration of the issues and the preparation of the agenda if you did that. And also part of the conversation on how we improve engagement on our commission, which in my view should be done through working groups, that we need to emphasize actions. Guillermo has said this multiple times, we got to do stuff, we have to do stuff rather than talk about stuff. And I think that that's going to be through working groups and committees that we need to identify through our goals that we did a couple years ago, what particular projects we're going to do to meet those goals, and do that through working groups. But, so I went in a couple different directions there, but I think the main point I want to make in my little speech is that we're getting to know each other, and we need to be, I think, really considerate of each other in terms of understanding that each of us have pressures, but also that together we have to figure out how to improve engagement, because we do have that issue before us, and the pace at which we're getting work done, we have to consider whether we're meeting our mission because of the pace that we get some work done. And we have some obligations to engage the city agencies that we need to work on too. Some of that will come up in this agenda, so I think we should pay attention to that. Thank you.
Hey, Billy, I want to say, this is Derek Tynes. You said you should trust me. I don't trust you, Billy. I'm joking. I'm joking.
That's why I love
I just wanted to play on that one. That's funny.
And there's a hand up. So Cece has her hand up.
Yeah, I was just gonna kind of like touch base on what you said, Billy, about the committees. And that was something I guess I wanted to ask if we could implement committees, because I do want to, be more active and be a part. It's just, I'm not sure if I'm ready to step up to be a chair of something yet, or, another executive role. But in a committee, I feel like I could still help in ways, just still help without being the chair of something. Does that make sense? So if we could implement committees, I think that would be pretty awesome.
That's fantastic to hear. We use the word committee, but we actually tend to use more of a working group model. And we have a couple on the agenda, but we can make sure that those are regularly shared with the entire group, what active working groups we have. something we're going to be doing starting tomorrow actually is meeting with the people who, I don't know what the phrase is, Lenny, who has a seat that is designated to represent education. We often say he's here to represent youth, and that's not true. In the bylaws, he's here to represent education. And we have, with Kathy leaving, we're losing our we're losing our senior person, and Marcus was appointed to bring his knowledge and experience around housing, and that is in process of being filled, but it hasn't been. So one thing we were talking about the executive committee is meeting with each of those people and discussing how we could more actively engage them in the agenda so that we are addressing concerns. One example, last month, I just asked Lenny kind of flippantly, really, because we had some extra time. Hey, what's going on with Pittsburgh Public Schools? And he brought up a really important point about curricula for primary schools. And it's something that we should absolutely pay more attention to. And that's what gave me the idea that we may need to, so that would be 5 working groups or committees if we did that. And they would have varying degrees of activity, I'm sure, but I think that's in line with what you're saying, Cece, that, looking at that kind of structure to engage people.
Yeah, for sure. Like when I think of myself, education, community engagement, those are 2 things I'm passionate about and would love to donate my time or resources to specific things that kind of focus on that. So if those are already in existence, I would love to be a part of those conversations and those other, those outside meetings outside of the board meeting or commission meeting, I'm sorry.
Well, I want to be mindful of time, but is there any other thought on this? Since I'm meeting with Lenny tomorrow, and then hopefully everybody else soon after that, we can come back in September with some feedback on what that could look like. I don't want to speak for Lenny, but I know that he always welcomes people participating and being engaged. And
so did we determine a time?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so.
We'll do that after the meeting. So, and we also work on a model where people want to propose a working group to address something. That's the Pirates working group. You see that came up. That just came up because of a one-off conversation. It's led to a sustaining group that exists. So please feel free to bring something to the table. And even if it's not worked out in your mind, even a way of what it could look like, you can bring it here and we could have a conversation about it, about what that might look like. Are there any other hands up? Am I missing? Okay, it looks like we're good. All right, so we're going to move on to get us out of here in time. Unfortunately, Calvin was not able to be here tonight because of a last-minute emergency, so we will have to meet them in September, but they are in communication and, talking about different ways to be invested. So just because they're not here, they are certainly very interested in what we're doing. And the mayor's office, Maria, could you please update us on the hiring status?
Yes, so we had made an offer to someone for the position. However, they had to deny the offer. They had a change in status and would not be able to make, I believe it wasn't able to make residency requirements because of that. So we're going to be moving to, I believe, extend an invitation to somebody else for the position, and hopefully we'll have some more information for that for you all to share in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, thank you. Well, it's good to see that forward momentum on that. So let's move into the treasurer's report. Denise, do you want to do the
Yeah.
budget or the brochure first?
Let's just do the brochure first. I just need pronouns for 2 commissioners. I'll send an email after the meeting. And then I think we can print. I don't know, Marie, if you had any luck with getting it, translated into Spanish. But once
Yeah, and
this is,
yeah, we can do that, and we'll need the pronouns for those commissioners, as that will matter in the translation.
yeah, so what I'll do is, once I get those pronouns, I'll send you over the revised copy, and then, you can take it from there.
And after we get the final copy, I'll move the English version to the print shop to get an order of those done and available for commission members to use while we wait the finalization of the translated version, and I'll move those to print as soon as that is done.
That'd be great. Thank you.
About how many copies of the versions would we like to see?
I think we had talked about, the last time I printed them here, I printed 150, and that wasn't enough. So I think, 500 would be great.
Sounds good.
Maria, are there any appointments on the horizon that you, and I only asked that so that we would then have to update the brochure. Are you aware of any appointments that might happen in the very near future?
I know I believe there's currently 2 and now 3 with Kathy, recent decision to step down. But I don't believe that there's any imminently so, but we're working to get those filled. We shouldn't hold up the brochure over those future appointments. We should just move forward with it.
Okay, well, if it's further down the road, then I think that's reasonable to update regularly.
The second item that I would like to talk about and discuss and hopefully get approved is the budget. I think, yeah, there it is. We sent it out after the last meeting, and I'd really like to discuss this with Patrick. So I'd like to, if possible, get this approved today. Billy, am I doing that right?
We
You're
need a
on mute.
motion. We need a motion to discuss.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the budget submitted by the treasurer. If there's a second, we can discuss it.
Second.
Let's discuss.
So I'll just start. I put in here just basic reasonable expenses, and there's, 3 sections. The easiest one to talk about is probably the operating expenses, and that would include, we want to do these town halls, so that would include some costs associated with that. Meeting with, some printing now, if that's not necessary, but I think, we have to allow that in there just in case we can't get these things printed. A way to send out information. So, generic business cards, I think, is important. So, when we start attending these events, there's something that will direct people to not just the email address, but also to the Facebook page and the form. So it's not a huge budget.
Denise,
Go ahead.
could I step in for a second?
Sure.
We have some new commissioners, and I just wanted to give you a little bit of background about why we're looking at a budget for a commission, because that's not a typical way of governance. But we have been part of 3 different operating budgets for the city. And each time we've had confusion, misinformation about the money that was allotted for us. And each explanation we get is slightly different than the one we got before. So what we decided, and we were informed that it was important for us to be part of the official budget planning process by going to the meetings and getting our, our priorities. And that's a reasonable thing to do. But we decided to take a step further because we really need to get some clarity on this. People are literally asking us that they see our line items in previous years' budgets, and yet we don't have anything to show for it. And that's because we never received the money. We never had access to the money. So what we decided to do this year was to put together a budget that would cover all the things that we've done. Like, for example, we have privately printed our brochures because we couldn't get them completed through the city. And then present that and say, this is what we believe after almost 3 years of commissioning, we need to function. And we want a vote. And then we want to send it to the mayor. We want to ask the mayor to respond. So Denise has done the hard work of putting the budget together, but we have to do the hard work of having this conversation around a very difficult and issue stretching back to the previous administration. So I think it's important that and I don't want to put this all on Maria. This is not Maria's responsibility to handle all of this. So if anyone has questions about this, you can bring it up. We've talked about it many times, so don't hold back.
I think that's understandable. I mean, for us to have a robust program or to do whatever we set out to do. And my question is, like, are we asking them to reimburse us? Like, is that what we're doing?
No, we're asking that'll be question number 2, right? So the first thing I would like to do is get them to approve this money for us. And then I'm going to find out how we can pull those funds.
Oh, okay.
So what do we have to do to get the funds?
Right.
Denise, can you explain the item about the temporary office? That's confusing. The 12,500.
Yeah, I mean, what we, what we would like to have, and I think that's cut off, but it's personnel. We're under the assumption as it stands right now that, we need some help. So whether it's, somebody that will help us send some emails out, somebody that will help us get the technology set up to where we can have off-site meetings. So that's purely an outsourced temporary help for us.
Because
it's
shouldn't
a
this
person,
happen
not a
within the,
place,
yeah,
right?
shouldn't this, sorry, Billy, go ahead.
It's a person, not a place.
Right. It says office personnel, but I guess I didn't spread that column out enough.
Okay. So this could not be done in-house through the mayor's office?
I believe those are all functions slated for the budgeted part-time staff person through the office.
Okay.
Yeah, I put this budget together when we didn't have anybody and there was no seat to fill. So, again, once I can get this over to the mayor's office, we can have a discussion and we can clearly understand what we can depend on other resources for. But not to have it in there, I thought was not in our best interest, just in case, unforeseen things happen. Somebody takes the job and quits. Somebody does, doesn't take the job, or, so, it's a cost that we need. I mean, we need help. And if there's a person that's dedicated to it from the mayor's office, that's great. But if there's not, I feel like it's better to lay it out just in case.
So even the cost of like printing of 1,800, we need that done. If the city could do that as an in-kind service, then we could eliminate that cost, correct?
Right. I put this together as it was a standalone unit, and these are the costs that it takes for us, to work next year. However that translates to whatever department, that's great. But, I just didn't want to be in a situation again where we had budget allocated and we weren't utilizing it.
And Richard, I want to respond to what you said about taking it out. I don't think we should. I think what we need to do is reflect what is the real cost of print needs for this commission, and whether they're covered by a lot of offices have moved under the mayor and are no longer independent offices in the city system. So it's a little confusing to even figure that out sometimes. So we need to focus on what our actual expenses are, our costs are, and how they get filled is a separate issue. But, you remember, Richard, too, that we in the past have had line items, and we were told in some cases they were used for staff and in other cases they were for operation. This way we'll be real clear about what we know that the LGBTQIA community needs, at least as a base.
I guess the misunderstanding is that keep this here, but if the city comes back and say we can fulfill that cost, we can take that cost and take it in-house, then that would be part of the budget that would be paid through the city, correct?
I would disagree with that, because the city has told us they could do a lot of things, and we still don't have any brochures.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, let's say by chance they did finally do it.
If they did it, I'd agree, but not if they told us they're going to do it.
Because we definitely need printing. We definitely need this to happen, because it's part of our communication to our the residents and people in Pittsburgh. So
and just to push a little bit there, like we have printed brochures in the past. We cover the cost of printing brochures as the city. When Netroots was here, we printed a considerable amount of brochures for the commission then. We will print these brochures once they're finalized and done. We're committed to that, and we will do that. And I think, again, maybe it would be helpful for the Office of Management and Budget, a representative, come and speak to the full commission about the city's budgeting process, because there's some things in here, like if you're going to want to hire a temporary office person, there's a whole like city procurement process and rules around that has to be followed and done. So some of these things are much more technical and specific, and a lot of it, unfortunately, is, folks will have to be, do things like generate invoices and get reimbursed and paid through, the city controller's office. It's not as simple as you have a budget, here's $50,000, go do what you wish with it. Like there's a lot of budgetary mechanisms in place in terms of how things get paid for various items. So it could be beneficial for somebody from OMB to sort of walk through, if the commission were to get a budget, sort of how to access those funds, what that looks like. But I do think that could be extremely beneficial.
Now, is that Patrick?
It could be Patrick, or it could be somebody else that he would designate through the Office of Management and Budget. But there's a variety of staff members there that could help with that process.
And with all due respect, Maria, because I know you can't control Patrick in that office, but Denise has been trying to get a secure meeting with that office for months and months and months. So I'm fine pursuing that, but I still want to move ahead where we're, we are being really clear with our community what the expenses are for their commission. And then the conversation about how we fill things and adjust things, and that's important. But first we have to start with, what does it cost to have this commission?
Yeah, and in Patrick's defense, I mean, it took me a while to get a phone call for sure. And that was regarding the last budget, which was 0. So I want to email him this budget and say, can we get a meeting face to face, or can we get on a Zoom face to face? And go over it. I do think, Maria, that's a good idea that somebody comes, because I think it's important for us to even understand. I mean, I don't think anybody, I mean, I've dealt with, the city in my past career life, and I do know there's a lot of process to get reimbursed. So I think it would be good for other people besides me to kind of hear what that looks like.
We are not going to get reimbursed for a pizza party, Julian, just so you know.
I was just about to say something.
Nope,
Like,
that's going to come.
Can we add a line item for pizza?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like things like, and and to we joke about that a little bit there, but like things like reimbursement for food at meetings is actually one of the trickier things to get reimbursed for. So having a specific line item explicitly for just to be used for food is important. So if that's something that folks are seriously considering, like that would have to be part of the line item budget. Is once something so there's some various things in here like miscellaneous, like that is just something that would immediately be kicked out because the city doesn't like miscellaneous. Just out of transparency to taxpayers, that like that's not something that would happen. And like I said, in terms of things like a consultant position, because that's what that would be in terms of a temporary office person, like that is something that we would have to go through a formal request for proposals and a formal bid, like professional services bidding process. So there would be a whole formal thing there that would have to go through and could result in taking a considerable amount of time and energy to move forward. So even if the money was there, that doesn't necessarily mean like on January 1 that you'd be able to hire a consultant into that space for a professional services contract. So there's a variety of things that I think it would be good in terms of what you've laid out here to sort of have someone from OMB on to sort of talk through like what that looks like. And then again, this is a sort of unique position in terms of the formal budgetary process for the city. So we've been, over the past several months, we've been engaging with the community as a whole through the budgetary engagement process. We did surveys and community meetings. And I really hope everyone on this call and in our commission participated in a meeting and submitted a formal budget survey that included the need to fund the LGBTQIA plus commission, because that is one of the scoring mechanisms for things like this is, did residents ask for this, right? So if we didn't do our due diligence in doing that, then it wouldn't be scored, which makes it harder to get a budget for it. And then secondly, the mayor's office is required by city code to submit the draft budget by September 30th, which then will kick off another round of community engagement around the budget. Says, hey, we met with you, you did surveys, this is what we've put together, give us feedback, did we hit what you were looking for? That also includes all of the big like capital projects for parks and that sort of stuff. Give us additional feedback, and then we take that feedback and pull it all together before the formal mayor's State of the City address, where he delivers his final budget to Pittsburgh City Council. Which then, at that point, council will have a series of public hearings on the budget for all of the departments and the mayor's office. So that's then when council would go through there, they can make changes at that point to the city budget before voting to make it final, and then finally getting the mayor's signature before the end of 2023 for the 2024 capital and operating budget. So that's sort of the sort of general strokes guidelines of like City Budget 101.
Well, I tell you, I'm a little bit frustrated. I mean, this has been on the agenda forever. And I'm just now understanding some of the requirements. Is there some place that I can go or somebody that I can talk to on the phone to understand exactly what we need to do? I just, I feel like we're getting to a situation again that, we didn't hold our pencil right and there's going to be no money and no budget for us. That's how I feel. So
I think I announced the budgetary process multiple times in commission meetings in the past, and the importance of attending those meetings and doing the surveys as part of our requests for any budgetary items.
Well, I want to speak to the motion. That there's a motion on the floor to adopt this budget as a recommendation and send it off to the city government, that this commission is saying we need this type of support in order to operate. That's our message by doing this. Whether we are well-versed in the city process or not, the fact of the matter is we've been told we've had a budget for 3 years, and we've, as Sue has explained, we haven't had access to it. And we shouldn't have to run to meetings that are general meetings for the city budget process in order to acquire that. We should have some support in this. Our treasurer, our former treasurer, Guillermo Velasquez, and our current treasurer, Denise DeSimone, have been, clawing at trying to get some attention from someone who is in a financial role with the city to do this. We shouldn't have to run to meetings as a citizen in order to get the type of support. We haven't had staff support for this commission, and this financial support for our work has been non-existent. We've been told separate things from city council as we have from the mayor's office. We've been told different amount of money. That's what we've been doing, and that's why it's so frustrating. I am thinking that we should vote in favor of this budget and send it over. It is a message to the city that we need support and that we're not getting it. And that if there is a process to fund this that is more appropriate, then somebody from the city needs to step up and support us. I mean, we're being viewed by the community that we're not doing our job in some ways. And this is a big part of why. So we have our own issues on our working group type structure and our, doing particular things. A lot of things we have accomplished and with nothing. And now we need to accomplish more with something. And so I encourage people to vote yes on this and send it over. And if there's another process, then that process should find us, because we certainly have made ourselves available and expressed our need to city government, both city council and the mayor's office.
I second your motion, Billy.
Okay, is there any further discussion on this motion? We have a motion and a second. Let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Derek
Aye.
Tynes.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Aye.
And again, for our new members, just so that you realize, Maria traditionally does abstain from most of the votes. It's not pertaining necessarily to the topic at hand. Well, it looks like we have pass this measure. Denise, please prepare this and to be submitted to the mayor's office and let us know when that happens.
I will submit that before I leave here tonight.
Thank you, everyone. I think that's good work, and we're further along in meeting our resources.
I
I'm
have
gonna
a question.
Yes.
Is that, Maria, are you going to know about this submission? Wherever it goes to?
If Denise copies me on the submission, I'll know. And
I
Denise-
will.
I think
Okay.
that's good practice. Anytime we contact the mayor's office formally, we tend to CC Maria. So,
Okay.
okay, we're going to move on to the secretary's report. I want to remind you that we about 25 minutes left. We have a bit of business to do. So, where we can move along, let's do the best that we can. Billy?
Well, so this election of co-chair and outreach coordinator, so we're gonna take a run at that one again. Lenny and Maria, I didn't contact you in advance, but I think you know the routine. And so, Lenny will take the gavel and open up the floor for nominations for each of these two. And again, if there are nominees, if we have more than one, we'll do a selection process. If not, then it will defer to the following month. But we're going to do this not to, not for any other reason than it's our obligation to do this each month until it's filled. That's what our bylaws say. So I'm handing it over to Lenny if you're still here. I can't see all the participants.
I feel the need to
Come here, Billy.
to make a comment, though. We have
Sure.
two co-chairs right now. One of those co-chairs, who is not me, is really needing to not be a co-chair. So there is some urgency to filling some of these seats, even temporarily, and embracing all the work that comes with that. I just don't want to soft pedal that, because if if Sarah isn't able to continue, I don't know what we're going to do. So for those of you who've been around for a long time, please think long and hard about what you can give for the next 3 or 4 months.
Okay. Thanks, Sue.
Yeah, that's a good point to note that this would be anyone selected into either of these roles, it would be to fill the remainder of the current term, which, is through December. And there's a selection process in December for all 6 officer positions. Yeah.
All right, so the process is as it has been. Any member can nominate any other member for either the position of co-chair or outreach coordinator. You are also welcome to self-nominate, and then we will hold voting, assuming we have nominated candidates. So we'll go one position at a time. We'll start with the co-chair. Do we have any nominations for the position of co-chair? And again, you can nominate yourself, of course, if you're interested in serving.
Can I ask a question about this co-chair position?
Please, Derek, go ahead.
If you're talking about the workload between the workload each month, can you talk about what that is?
So do you want to speak to that?
Sure.
Thank you.
It's a lot. The co-chairs are responsible for, of course, facilitating the meetings, monitoring all the working groups and committees that we have, staying on top of attendance, staying on, we have our executive committee meeting at the beginning of the month on the first Thursday from 6 to 7. We have an average of 2 to 3 other meetings each month. A lot of them are Zoom. We try to spread out representation at the other kinds of meetings, like the pirate meeting and other pieces. Sarah and I do a lot of email back and forth. It is not an easy task. I want you all to consider doing it, but at the same time, I don't want to mislead you. It is not something where someone can join and say, I don't have time to do all this. I'm lucky that in the sense that I'm being a disabled person, I have a lot of time on my hands and I can do a lot of the work. But hopefully when we have a staff person who's onboarded and working, and hopefully 50% ours, some of that will shift to their shoulders, but that won't be until after the new year, I'm sure. So I would say checking your email every day, checking your text messages, checking the group email, putting out fires, following up on ongoing projects. It's kind of like an administrative job in addition to the bigger picture leadership pieces. It's not for the faint of heart. I know that's not a great sales pitch, but.
Yeah, way to work it, so.
Any other questions about that? Derek,
To join now.
you're on my list to join.
I nominate Derek Tynes.
I was just gonna say, I'd be willing to help out to the end of the year.
Okay, so
I
Derek,
don't know, going further, I can't speak about going further, but I'd be willing to help out at least for 3 months.
okay,
Derek,
Derek, you then accept the nomination?
I will accept it to the
Right,
end of the
right,
year,
for the current term.
for the current term.
and Derek,
Okay.
you would be available at those times that because they're already set.
I do have a conflict with the first Thursday. I have a leadership meeting at 7 o'clock on the first Thursday of every month. That would be my conflict, but the meeting is, you said the meeting is from 6 to 7 or 6 to 7:30?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be my only conflict. I do have a standing meeting every month at 7 on the first Thursday.
Well, we'll talk about adjusting our executive committee meeting. I mean, we
Yeah,
could talk.
I'm
about
willing to step in for 3 months.
Thank you, Derek. All right, so we have one nominee. Are there any other nominations for the seat of co-chair? This is a teaching technique known as wait time.
How about I nominate Lenny?
Thank you.
Is that thank you, like I'm accepting it, or?
Was that a real nomination?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
Very
yeah,
good.
no. I don't think that's appropriate, Derek. But I mean, thank you. I appreciate it, but no, I think I'd decline.
That's how much he wants the job. He's looking for an opposition candidate right now.
No, I just think that Lenny's, I like the way he works, and I just thought if he had time, that he'd be great as well.
I appreciate that very much.
Well, we're possibly going to need another co-chair, so Lenny, keep that in mind.
We'll talk soon. All right, so having one nominee at the moment, were you prepared to vote?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Okay, Billy, do we need to go to a ballot with one nominee?
I think we do because of our bylaws.
Okay.
We can't do it by a voice vote. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, Bill.
Yeah. William Lamar, can you help us with this on short notice?
Yes, sure. What would you like me to do for you?
Set up a poll.
Okay,
that we can do that and then send the results to Lenny Orbovich and Maria Montano. And
Do I have, Lenny, what's your email?
It's L Orbovich, Orbovich 1 @pghschools.org.
Okay. And then this is for, and I have Maria's email, so this is for Derek for nomination for co-chair, correct?
Correct.
All right, give me one moment.
Thank you very much.
So we should all secretly write in Bill Lamar on our ballots and subvert the process.
I usually abstain, but this time I'm going to vote for Derek just because he tried to make me do it.
No, I really do believe in you.
Make you do it? Thanks.
I really believe in you.
Okay, poll should be up.
I do very much appreciate it, Derek. Thank you.
Has everyone voted?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Only quickly saw the results, but it was 70% to 30% to 30% abstention, which was with me. And Derek is unanimously elected. Thank you, Derek.
Congratulations,
pleasure.
Derek. Thank you so much.
I look forward to talking to you more often too.
I would be delighted. You are going to make Sarah's evening, let me tell you. So everybody, let's welcome our new co-chair.
Welcome. Congratulations, Derek.
Yes. I don't know what we could do. In person, we could like applaud or something, but Derek, I'll finish this meeting out. Maybe we'll get you ready for facilitating in September.
Okay.
Okay, move on. What's outreach coordinator?
All right, so now same process for the position of outreach coordinator. To nominate any member as well as yourself. So if there are any nominations, please voice them now.
Based on what Cece said, I would like to nominate Cece.
So do you accept?
I would just like to know what the role entails.
Sure.
If that's okay.
Of course. So do you want to speak to that one?
Denise, since you held the role,
Oh, that's
perhaps
better.
it would be better if you.
That makes sense.
Yeah, essentially, keeping up with Facebook, doing, social posts, reviewing any submissions that come in. Billy and I are making changes, or going to make change to the website. That would also be part of it. I believe, I think the brochures really fall under that as well.
We also have this need at some point to move into reaching out to city admin offices and departments and agencies, and then also reaching out to the community, whether that's to organizations, creating email lists. Someone suggested that. I mean, those are the kinds of tasks that we haven't done them yet. So some of this is a blank slate to create what the next level of engagement would be like. Is that fair, Denise?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that explanation. And this will be for until the end of the year for this term, right?
Yes.
You know what, Derek, I guess I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and accept. I will try my best. That's all I can say.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and this 3-month window can give you, you know, an opportunity or a glimpse to, you know, what it is. And, you know, if you want to continue, then, you know, you'll have some kind of idea of what it looks like, you know.
Correct.
I'm actually
Yeah, I-
turning up. Yeah. Oh, thank you both.
For sure. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yay.
I'll help you, Cece, as well, wherever you need help.
But we have to vote, I guess.
Thank you, Julie.
Blathering on and I was muted. So thank you, Cece. We have one nominee for outreach coordinator. Are there any others?
I nominate Lenny.
He's gonna stop doing these elections.
Okay.
I withdraw
I
my.
respectfully refuse again.
Okay.
The same reasons.
We're going to get you at some point, Lenny.
Lenny, maybe you need to disrespectfully refuse.
Maybe.
We have 11 minutes to cover the rest of the agenda. Let's snap it along.
All right, so let's, I don't hear any other nominees, so could we have a poll for outreach coordinator for CC, please?
I voted.
Thank you.
All right, am I okay to close the poll?
Was that a yes vote or no from the dog?
Bridget voted in favor. I told her to abstain, but she didn't listen. She's very opinionated.
Lenny, and Maria, the results should be hitting your email momentarily.
Is there a delay? Bill?
Email's been sent.
I just received it.
Okay,
So 10 votes, it was 8 in favor and 2 abstentions. Congratulations, CC, and thank you for serving.
thank you, Cece.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lenny and Maria, for facilitating this role. I'm gonna move us along because I don't know what we're gonna get through, but thank you. Google Calendar, do we have anything to really add except to remind people, please submit events, activities to Denise? And that will probably
That's it.
switch now to CC and but we just want to keep the calendar updated with all kinds of events. Is there anything else to say on that, or can we just move on?
That's all.
Great. Okay. We're going to do an update on the working group on city council relationships. As you know, we are attempting to meet with each member of council to talk about the commission, how to work together, and as well as their priorities within their district and all of those kinds of things. Denise and I met with Councilor Deb Gross in July, right before they went into recess. So we were able to get that in and had a very productive conversation. I don't know that we're going to necessarily break them up one by one, so much as at the end of time. No, not the end of time. When we finish all of them, that we would present our feedback. But if anyone would like to participate, it's usually by Zoom, and we're hoping to get 2 a month in. And we will be meeting with the 2 outgoing members of council and then the 2 incoming members of council. So we have 2 extra meetings. I found the meeting with Deb to be incredible. Her chief of staff took us through this whole thing about the agendas and how they meet and everything. And we actually thought that we would invite him to talk to all of us and make that presentation so we would understand how city council functions. It was great. And I was hoping we could do that in September. Denise, what would anything you would like to say on this, or?
No, I agree. I thought it was a great meeting, and I think we definitely reach out and have another one. Or at least, the one thing that we didn't ask her, Sue, and I thought about it since, was maybe her suggestion on who's next for us to meet.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
So
we can still do that because when she's back, we're not going to be able to set anything anyway. So
yeah, right.
One thing that she told us, and we were asking, how do we stay on top of city council, what's going on? And she walked us through their agenda and how useful a tool that is, that you don't have to read all the minutes or watch the whole video to understand the priorities and the topics and what's not at the table. So that was a really useful piece of information. We also are planning to have a post-agenda meeting with City Council in October. That's scheduled. It's been approved, and we will need to put our agenda together in our September meeting, just like we did earlier this year. And this is actually an area where Deb gave us some good feedback. She told us that to hold a post agenda, you have to get the approval of the president, but they can also schedule a briefing, which could be attended by staff. And those are some of those functional pieces that would be helpful for us to know as we move forward. But for now, we're good with the post agenda, and we have to create our agenda. I ask everyone here to please come to our September meeting and have something to put on that agenda. Everybody should have something, whether that's an issue that we discussed at our previous meeting or something that's come up new since then. The robust discussion that Derek and Kathy had about senior organizations in this region was fantastic. And it was a really good example of the kind of work we can do. So,
Sue, is the meeting on October 10th for the entire commission or just for the working group?
Oh, the commission, the whole commission.
It's for the whole commission. Okay.
Yeah. Our rule of thumb is that all meetings are open to any commissioner who would like to join, except when, for the few rare occasions where that's not feasible or desirable or effective or whatever. So
Okay, thank you.
sure. Okay, so I'm going to look, and I am going to come to each of you privately between now and September to ask you what you want to put on that agenda. So okay, commission and the Pirates Working Group. Unfortunately, we haven't made a lot of progress. Where we left it was that Pride Night didn't go perhaps as well as we would have liked to. There were concerns expressed. We used our role as the commission to ask the Pirates to have a meeting, like a post Pride Night meeting, with the community to listen to what they have to say directly. And we've been trying to meet with the Pirates just to get that planned, and that hasn't worked out so well. So we're going to continue. It is an absolute priority. We don't want it to go into September. I don't think the full meeting will happen in August at this point, but we'll do our very best. So our priority here as a commission is to make sure the Pirates, to hold them accountable, to meet with the community, to discuss this really important event that they hold each year. Everyone will be invited, and take a look at the minutes to see some of the work that we've done with the Pirates in the past. We're not going to have any say on the batting lineup, but we may still be able to get that cow out of there. I'm talking about the Chick-fil-A cow, just for those who don't know, but okay. Legislative policy updates. Billy sent out some letters. Draft language for statements, Billy, is that correct?
It's 3 letters that are regarding, and I think I have one of the bills wrong in our agenda here, numbers. I think it's 319, not 318. But aside from that, please read the 3 letters. One you saw before regarding trans athletes, but there's 2 others regarding the gender affirming care bill that is sitting in the Judiciary Committee, and don't say LGBTQIA bills, similar to the Florida bill that is in the Education Committee at this time. They probably won't move out of committee, but when you read the letters, I think you'll get the sense of why I think our commission should send these letters. My view is that the letters are signed by the co-chairs on behalf of the commission, and that we already voted to send the letters. There was a motion and a second and adoption of sending the letters. My view is, and we could adjust this, my view is that they're signed by the co-chairs. That makes it simpler for signing, for one thing. It's on letterhead, all our names are on it. If anyone, I'll look at the vote. I don't know that there was any abstentions. I can't remember right now, but since you haven't had a chance to read them and give feedback, my thought, I put it in the email to you, is that you have the opportunity between now and September 7th to do feedback, and that the executive committee would finalize them at the executive committee meeting on September 7th and then send them. And that they would go to the sponsors, the prime sponsor, and all the sponsors of the bills, as well as to the leadership of the House, the Senate, and the governor. And then we still owe you 1 letter regarding the Fairness Act, which will be a little bit easier to write, but just to give support. Although I got to tell you, I think that the legislators are missing an opportunity to maybe get this pushed through the Senate, the Fairness Act. It's kind of close, and so I think that a little bit of disruption there might be the right thing to do too. But read the letters, do feedback to. Send feedback to us, and I think we finish them up. My expectation is that you'll like them and that you'll want us to send them. And
we can't back down on the Fairness Act. It's our only
right.
opening we've had.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would encourage all of you to take Billy's language, write your own letter, and send it to your state senator. Just all hands on deck on this. It's too important.
Yeah. I still owe you the Fairness Act letter. These 3 are for the 3 anti-bills so far that you got. So you're getting 1 more by Monday. But yes. That's it. If that's okay with folks, because it's not fair to approve them tonight since you just got 2 of them this afternoon for the first time.
So we're going to need everyone to affirmatively, yay or nay, I guess, on email, not that you're voting on it, but that I would really like everyone to say by email, yes, I read this and I agree, or I didn't have time to read it, but I trust you, Billy, or whatever it is that your response is. But let's have a proactive response by email, please.
Yeah,
I can't mandate that, but I can send you a lot of messages until you respond. Hey,
Yeah,
Okay.
I want
Okay.
to tell you all, I was in at a rural Pennsylvania political thing this weekend up in Jefferson County, and we were representing the Protect Trans Kids project, and the people coming up to me, it was just absolutely amazing. You know, just I did not expect it at all, like how many people wanted, you know, they wanted signs and things, but just telling me story after story after story from Crawford County and Clearfield County and all these different places. And, you know, the work that we're doing here is having a ripple effect in areas that don't have anything remotely resembling this kind of a body. So kudos to all of you for that. Any new business?
I wanted to suggest that that we at some point start meeting in person.
Okay, great point, Derek. We've talked about this a few times. Unfortunately, because of limited resources, that is not possible. The city cannot provide the resources to do a hybrid meeting or an in-person meeting because of the staffing in the IMP department, and it's across the board for a lot of commissions and city council. And I know the mayor's office, they're trying to fix that they need more staffing for that to happen. But we just simply, it's just not possible. We can meet in person like we did at the Nikki's Thai Kitchen or other things like that together, but we can't have a commission meeting.
Okay.
In person.
That meeting at Nikki's Thai Kitchen was great. It was just like the missing piece for me.
So we could just meet at Nikki's Thai Kitchen once a month and make that our version of
seeing people in
Chinatown
person and
Inn.
having that, seeing people in person and having that one-on-one was just so refreshing for this.
Should we try again in September?
I would say October, but soon, hopefully.
Oh, October's a good idea, LGBT History Month. So, but thank you for bringing that up. It's important that we keep revisiting that. I do want to emphasize, though, we do need to always have hybrid meetings. We have members of our commission who've expressed that they cannot attend in person because of their health. And that's an accommodation we have to always make.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
But that's not the barrier. So, okay. Any other new business? Do we need to talk about that elementary school legislation policy, Lenny, or is that something we could talk about next month? Or Lenny's
No, I'm here. Let's talk about it when you and I have our conversation, because there's some things we should discuss first.
Okay. I am I guess we're making up for last month when we finished up early. We're over a little bit. Is there anything that we need to discuss? Any announcements? I want to remind you
we have an obligation to adjourn unless there's a motion to extend time.
I love working with Billy. He's always good about this. So I do want to quickly say there is a special election coming up in September to fill a vacant seat in the Pennsylvania State House. If you live in that district, well, you don't, because some of the city seats are in there, but please, remind people, please take a moment, maybe share that on your socials so that people know about it and are paying attention to democracy. All right. Well, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Can I just say one thing real quick? And that is that if anybody knows who Rick Worthy is, he's an out Black gay man who was appointed as the city councilman in the city of Braddock yesterday. So I want just to make us aware of, we have a new Black politician in Braddock. His name is Rick Worthy.
That is really good news.
Yeah.
I'll follow up with that because I'd like to amplify that.
Okay.
So we should
Yes.
celebrate.
Yeah,
all the-
he's Latasha Mays's chief of staff.
Oh,
Yeah, but he was appointed as a city councilman for Braddock yesterday.
way to go, Braddock.
Yeah, I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, I'm from the Mon Valley, so I love that. So, okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, good night, everyone.